In the last couple months and more so, we've had a lot of talks, a lot of discussions called, Soul Talk, where we've been going into the human experience, going into what it means to be human and the journey that we each go on in our own personal lives, and how deep and dark and confusing it can be, and facing the challenges and the things that come up in our lives, the real things, and what to do about them and what they mean. And then other discussions about how to view things in the world, how to view ourselves, how to view others. And the main theme is that each person's life is a journey that will never be able to be quantified, will never be able to look at and put in a box. Your journey is so big and so intense and so epic that it could never be looked at and put in a box. From the moment a person's born till the moment they die, the things that we will go through, the joy, the pain, the sadness, the love, the situations that break us, the situations that give us life, it's all so monumental, it can't even be discussed. And we each, if you're watching this video right now, you still have the rest of your life. Everyone that's alive right now will have the rest of their life, however long that is. Please God, it should bless us all. It should be till 120. But most of our stories are still completely untold, and things can change in the snap of a finger. So we can't even look at our lives now and get a clear picture of what's going on. But the point being that the epicness of each person's journey is so huge, and how it often feels impossible, and how we get into spaces where we can't move on, we can't figure things out, and what to do about them, or what to not do about them, and how to just keep going and carrying on and find light in the darkness, and where we can make a move, and where we can change our attitudes to a healthier, happier, more broader perspective. And the thing that is brought up always, not recently, always, is judging other people, how to view other people, what to think about what others do, and it's just so deep in my heart that to try to express it, no matter what I say, is not going to give it justice. And the first thing that needs to be said is that the mere fact that we have to even talk about the subject of judging other people shows how far we've fallen in the area of thinking that we know. Thinking that we know what life is supposed to be like, and we know what other people should do, and we know what even we should do. We think in those moments that we are God and we can see everything, and so we make a judgment and we label, we slap it on. It's ridiculous to think that. In halacha, we have the idea of being dan l'kav zchus. When you see something that a person does, you do whatever you can to push it to the side of goodness. If you see someone doing something wrong, you look at the situation, you say, I don't really know what's going on. And because I don't know what's really going on, I'm going to favor the person favorably. Now, there's lots of halachas about that and how it works and everything. But the point underneath it all is saying, you think you know about somebody else? You really think that you do? Think about anything that you've ever done in your life. There's a million reasons, whether good or not good. There's a million reasons why you did it. You have an entire life behind you. You have an entire journey that led you to every moment, and this is why you did that thing. And there's billions of reasons why. And if you made a wrong choice and somebody judged you, you would say, I may have done the wrong thing, but you have no idea what my life is. Like, you're looking into one tiny moment of my life and basing your entire judgment on that one thing. You don't know where I've been. You don't know what I've done. This is not to say that things are necessarily excusable. That's not the point. We have to take responsibility for our own actions, and we have to take responsibility of how we deal when we see someone doing something, let's say someone in our life, and we can't really be around them anymore because it's toxic, because it's not good for us. We're not making a judgment on them that they're a bad person. We're making a judgment for ourselves. For me, to be around this person is not a good thing. It wouldn't be good for me. So maybe I have to separate. But we're not judging. I'm not judging them. I'm making a judgment for myself. But to talk about it's so silly. And I heard something today that made me cry, that every single Jew, if they're buried by a Chaver Kadisha, and they have the proper taharos, they have the proper, everything that goes into it, will be buried in white. Will be buried in white like the Kohen Gadol. that at the moment of death, there's no difference between any Jew. They're buried like the Kohen Gadol, like the pure soul that they are and always were. It doesn't matter what they did in their lifetime, they will be buried in that. And I think that that's God showing us that you have no idea. That if you were to see this person, you might not even bury them at all. You wouldn't put them in a Jewish cemetery. You wouldn't put them in white. You would put them in black and write a sign on them saying, this person was awful and he deserves nothing. That's what we would do to so many people. To hell with them. Every single one will be buried in white because every person's journey is so beyond my ability to even process it. But we do it anyway. And have that imagery that the person that you're judging will be buried in white. Be buried as pure as the high priest. And everything that person did in his life, that's God's deal. But even God is showing us. Even God is showing us. If you were right, they would not be buried in white. Every person. We've got to see it that way. And it's so often our judgment that causes people to continue the things that hurt them. Because we cast them off, we throw them out. We make terrible judgments, and we base our judgments off of holy people and God that probably never said the thing that you're doing. And if they did, then they're probably wrong. Sinas Chinam, Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. We hated each other. We didn't give respect to each other. We don't condone each other's sins. We don't endorse them, but we don't make a person into them. And then we make a person into their sins. And our society makes a person into their problems. And then they become a problem, and they feel like they're a sin. And then they run, because why would I ever be a part of something that tells me that this is what I am? Why would anyone want to be part of that? We have to change the way we think. You will be buried in white. It can't be that bad. It can't be that horrible of a person. You think God's not proud of you? You think God doesn't love you because you do the wrong thing sometimes, or oftentimes? You're still going to be buried in white. There's so much here, and I don't have to keep going and explaining, because you know. Let it in. Let that imagery in the person that you hate, the person that you judge, the type of people that you judge. They'll be buried in white. Think about that. Think about that. And how would you approach someone that you knew would be buried like the high priest? And at this moment, they might be living a life that you don't agree with, or that you don't respect. Think about them dressed in the high priest's clothing. And see if you can still judge them. See if you could still think the way you think about them.